Hello, beautiful soul. I'm Vicki Howie of ChakraBoosters.com, the creator of Chakra Boosters Healing Tattoos. And I was just checking to see that this Crown Chakra tattoo is upright. You always know one of my tattoos is upright if the dot is up in the symbol. Okay? And I brought this one today because a lot of people keep asking me, where do I wear it? If I'm not bald, where do I wear it? I can't wear it up here at the crown. So my recommendation is that you wear it between the throat chakra and the heart chakra in the high heart. Again, we are more than 50% water, and symbols on water change the structure of water. So that's why we're wearing these tattoos, to change the energetic structure at a base level. So since we are water and our body's circulating all the time, you can actually wear these wherever you want and still get an effect. I highly recommend wearing them as close as you can to their traditional place on your body where that energy, where that area is really residing, is really living. Okay? Great. So now let's talk about the crown chakra, because we're going to finish out this shadow series. If you've been doing the whole series, good for you. This has been a deep dive and a long series. All the videos up to now have been over, I believe, over 3 hours of video. So you're hardcore and I'm bowing to you. Good work. And we also want to realize that this chakra is not on the body. It's different than the other chakras, particularly in the embodied chakra work that I do. There are 6 embodied chakras. And there's 3 masculine, 3 feminine, because in the embodied world, in the material world, we have pulsation, duality, inhale and exhale, waves coming in and out, hot and cold. We have this appearance, this experience of duality. And we have outer world and inner. Well, the 3 masculine chakras, root, solar plexus, and throat, 1, 3, 5, the odd ones, relate to your external world and to success and to going for it and doing it and to physical action. You can feel that. See how I'm like this? That's what the masculine is about in the body, the embodied chakras. And the feminine is about relationships and ease and your inner world, the sacral, the creative chakra, the sacral, right? The heart and the third eye where your intuition resides. So those are the feminine, and together they weave and make you the all. So all possibilities are within you. The crown is off the body, so it's like the cheese that stands alone, right? It's the umbilical cord to the all. And it doesn't pulsate, just doesn't. But since we're experiencing our concept of the crown in our body, because we're not walking around in samadhi bliss in complete connection to the divine, but rather in these pulsating bodies, it's worthwhile for us to look at shadow, even though there really isn't shadow, because there's no dark and light. There's just unity in the 7th chakra. And again, many people think the 7th chakra is masculine because in the tradition around yoga, we say Shiva, the masculine side of the Godhead, is consciousness, all consciousness, and Shakti, everything that's manifest, is the feminine, Shakti, everything manifest. But that's a broader scope. We're getting more specific here. We're looking at things in the body. So now the 7th chakra is your allness. It's where you came from. It's where you're going to. It is your energy that never dies, your infinite self. And we're only going to be able to deal with it regarding shadow in its more limited, finite form. If you could be completely and utterly aligned in all your chakras, and perhaps you can. If you can do that, and you're totally grounded in the earth, and then your crown opens wide, there's nothing but samadhi. Samadhi is bliss. It's all awareness, all love, all joy. It's like all of your chakras in their fullest capacity going all the way up to the divine, connecting and then bringing that through. It's called samadhi. It's very, very rare because all this has to be in alignment too, but we can touch parts of it. But what happens more often than not, especially in this day and age, when the energy on the planet is rising up so quickly, we're ascending, is that we're losing the grounding, or people are born in as indigo children, rainbow children, highly sensitive is another word we hear a lot, empathic children, whatever it is, it means that a lot of us are living in the upper chakras and aren't as grounded. And what that's going to look like is what I'm going to bring today, the shadow. Now, in the other upper chakras, the throat chakra and the third eye, we looked at shadow that had to do with not having enough of those chakra energies, because the upper chakras are what we strive for. So there's not much dark shadow in having too much of them. There's almost none with the throat and with the third eye. But when you get to the crown, if you look at only what happens when you don't have crown, guess what? You get the root shadow, because crown and root are the opposites in this dual world. So in an embodied sense, if we were to look at the absence of crown chakra energy as the shadow, like I did with the other upper chakras, we would just end up with a lot of the same needs as the root chakra. Does that make sense? The same shadow needs. So rather than do that, I'm going to look at it from a place today of the negative of when there is too much or a too open, a blown open crown without everything else being in order and alignment, which leads to, especially the root, which leads to there being energies of up here shadows. and I'll show you what I mean by that. Up here is the best way to describe it right now. You'll see it in a moment. And so I'm stretching things here. Strictly speaking, an open crown, as long as the other chakras are beautifully open too, is nothing but samadhi and bliss. But as human beings residing in a body, trying to open the crown, here are some shadows that show up. And by the way, there's two ways. I just want to take a little aside here. There are two ways this shadow shows up. One, you see glimpses of it, like, ooh, there's my shadow, ooh, there's my shadow, right? Because shadow's behind you usually. When you're in the light, the shadow's behind you. So we don't see it very much. That's why it's called shadow. And that's why it takes real spiritual warriors, or a warrior like you, to go into this work. But often you just get a glimpse of it. It feels like a big aha. Here's the deal though. If you were shamed or so taught to not be in a particular quality, it could have been so extreme that you cannot even see the shadow. There's not even a chance you can see it. And as you can imagine, that is a more extreme case of shadow, and that needs even stronger healing. So if you can see a quality, a shadow quality I mention, or a related one that comes to your attention, then you can just work with it and love it in you. If you can't see it, often you can see it in your projections on others, what upsets you about others, and that'll be your only way to see it. And then you just want to love it and work with the quality. Not so much the quality of you demonstrating it, but just the quality itself, so that you can get open enough to demonstrate it. Let me give you one quick example. Let's say that a woman grows up and she's got parents that are like really open-minded and hippie-ish, or whatever you want to call, whatever word, and they're so open that they're not so responsible. They're so upper chakra that they don't show up for her in many ways, and she feels unsafe. She feels almost like she's the adult and they're the children. So she grows up being uber, super responsible, and she grows up hating irresponsibility, making it a shadow quality. Now there, the parents didn't even do it. It was the parents demonstrating it that made the child go, that doesn't work. I'll never do that to my children. I'll never be that. So that woman becomes hyper responsible. This is just one example. You can think of this as with any quality you want, with your parents and anything you might have mirrored back or not. But she becomes hyper responsible, so much so that she can't even let herself be irresponsible. So when I bring up the quality irresponsible, she's like, well, I'm not that. The moment you say, I am not that with any quality because you are the divine, there's at least a little bit of shadow work that needs to be done there, because you're disqualifying that quality from your field, and actually you're everything. And also, the moment you're really triggered by someone else, and if you see a pattern of being triggered by others, I'm always triggered by angry people, I'm always triggered by irresponsible people, by late people, by you fill in the blank. Whatever that quality is that triggers you, and I've been telling you to go do the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet by Byron Katie, because it's really good for uncovering these nuggets. But the moment you have any of those triggers, it can show you the shadow that you're not even able to see, which is the deepest shadow of all. And that's the real warrior work. Okay, so I just wanted to mention you, this can come up either way. If you're kind of going, that's not me, catch yourself. Because when you say that's not me, it means maybe you're not demonstrating it because it is such a deep shadow. And if you feel any resistance when you say that's not me, like, ooh, that's not me, that's not me, then there's definitely shadow work to be done. And you want to go in and you want to embrace that part of yourself. Okay, I think that's everything. We're ready to go. We are going to look at the first shadow quality of the crown, and it is God complex. Now again, I couldn't come up with an adjective, so I used a noun, God complex. This is a certain superiority that comes about knowing that one is connected to the all, to the divine, without being fully in the humility of the heart, without being in some of the other chakras that will balance out this extreme energy of being a slice of the divine, right? And so a God complex can look like somebody leading a cult, right? Somebody thinking they know everything, but not everything in a mental way as much, because that's a little more of the know-it-all of the solar plexus chakra, but knowing everything in a cosmic sense, knowing everything as God would know everything, that kind of knowing. And what would be the gift of God complex? Now remember how we find the gifts in a shadow? We find the gift by taking the quality and really just dialing it way down, way down. So if we dial God complex down, 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 what we get is just this gift, an awareness of your true divine nature, an awareness that you are the divine in flesh. And so is your neighbor, and so is everyone else. So is everyone, or so is everyone. I was going to say are everyone, but so is everyone. Everyone's a slice of the divine. And you can see how that understanding, that healthy, balanced understanding is both empowering, incredibly empowering, but it's also humbling, because we all come from the divine. We all are the divine. No one is better and no one is less. We are different versions of the divine in manifest form. I think that is so cool. I love that. Okay, so that is the first quality. Quality number 2, shadow quality of the crown, is unrealistic. Now, that one sounds so much more tame than God complex, right? Because God complex didn't have a dialed down version. And if I give you the big version of unrealistic, it's gonna maybe throw you for a loop. So I wanna wait just a second, because we all have a little bit of being unrealistic within us. And I want you to relate to this quality. Where is the part of you that's unrealistic, that doesn't deal with reality? Well, when the crown blows open and everything else isn't balanced, particularly, again, the root, the grounding aspect, the root chakra, what happens is we get mental illnesses of disassociation, mental illnesses like schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is simply the inability to know the physical reality from the energy realms. It's thinking, just not being able to know what is physical reality, being so lost in, or so unrealistic, I should say, that you don't even know what is of the physical realm. So there's a whole spectrum here from unrealistic all the way out to the schizophrenia or other mental disorders that make one lose touch with reality, right? So let's dial down, let's go back again to just unrealistic. What is the gift of unrealistic? And it's also the gift, if someone could dial it way down, if they were mentally ill and they could really come into, again, upper chakra, crown type mental illnesses like schizophrenia, the answer, the biggest answer, is safety and tribe and root chakra work, getting grounded. So if you're having any episodes at all of disassociation or not knowing what's real or not, really work your root chakra, beautiful one, because that is what's really going to bring you into this body and then allow you to open big to your God energy. So what is the gift of unrealistic? Well, I think it's pretty obvious. It's faith and the possibility of miracles. Because we are the co-creator with the divine of our reality. And reality in its raw form is much, much bigger than we could ever handle. So we are literally sifting. Neurolinguistic programming teaches us how we generalize and we distort, right? We change things and we delete. Really, those are the big three. We generalize, distort, and delete because we can't handle raw reality. And so if we're super realistic, you know, there's nothing outside of this 3D world and we're just very realistic without any of our unrealistic sign, miracles can't come to us. We need a little faith. So if miracles have happened in your life, and I think they've happened in just about everyone's life, I hope they've happened for you. I've had many. When miracles happen, it means there's a part of you that's open to miracles, that's open to things that are unrealistic, that are outside the realm of the real 3D world. You notice I put quotes on that, right? Because it's all, the allness is what's real. So that's a pretty big gift. I'd like to say that is a really big gift. Okay, let's look at the next one. The third one is Martyr, the third quality. And if you've been following this series, you know that I gave Martyr as one of the heart chakra shadows. But here's the difference, because it's pretty big. And I explained it a little in that video. The heart martyr is more like a mother type martyr who's using conditional love to have value and safety. So for instance, a caregiver might say, I gave up everything for you. I took care of you, I worked for you, I gave up my savings to send you to school, I lost sleep at night. And they're doing this from a place of, I don't recognize my own value, so I'm going to get my value by you rewarding me for what I've done for you. And that's an exchangey kind of martyrdom. Spiritual martyr is the more traditional meaning. I kind of borrowed martyr for the heart martyr look, and people understood what I meant. But here it's what it's really meant to be. And that is one just gives oneself up for the divine. One dies or does anything for the divine. Can you feel that? It's huge. And it seems unconditional, and it pretty much is when it comes from a really healthy place, if it can. You know, but all qualities should be able to come from a healthy place. It is full on, I just give my life to you. I give my physical being. Still, though, I want you to recognize that one says, God or the divine, you give me everlasting life, so I give up my life for you. Often there's still conditionality here, just like with the parent. There's often a conditionality that is, I give up this life. I'm a spiritual martyr because I give up this physical life so that I can gain the everlasting life again. So we need to be aware of this, because every time there's a gain, we're still in this shadow aspect. It hasn't become conscious. It hasn't been something, every time there's a gain that we're not aware of, I should say. Once we're aware of the gains, then we can employ all qualities of ourselves in ways that we want and be aware of our needs and meet our needs and ask for what we need rather than try to get it underground or subconsciously. Okay, so what is the gift of being a spiritual martyr? I love this one because in this day and age, we are really scattered. And the gift here is devotion, spiritual commitment. Because nowadays there's so many divorces, there's so many job changes, there's just change. Change is in this feminine wave that's coming into the planet, because the feminine is change. The feminine is the sacral chakra, and we have a huge change wave as well as an ascending wave moving through our planet right now. So it's creating a lot of feminine energy. And the root is commitment. So when you want to really bring your root and your crown together, and just like pulling two opposite sides of a rope, when you pull them, you align everything in between those 2 points. That happens a lot with the chakras. So if you can fully be in your root and fully be in your crown and honor them both without making one wrong or the other wrong, and just honor them both at the same time, you can create this beautiful alignment. And since commitment is root, committing to the divine, devotion, sacred devotion, which I think has such a beautiful sound to it, sacred devotion really helps to align all of your chakras. It helps to put you into a really good space. But of course, in sacred devotion, you're going to devote, but you're not going to lose, for instance, the value of yourself, because your self's in the solar plexus chakra. So again, it has to do with owning all of the chakras at once, owning them all. And when you do that, your sacred devotion will be good to you, good to others, good to the divine, good to all. You feel that? I love that. Okay, number 4 is a little bit scary. Shadow quality number 4 is, I couldn't think of a softer way to put it, possessed. How could I do crown chakra and not bring up the shadow quality of possession? I think the fear of being evil or possessed is actually one of the things that keeps people in fear, which is a lower vibration in the lower chakras and doesn't allow there to be an openness in the crown and to the all, and to actually serving the divine, interestingly. So let's look at this. It's a big cultural fear, isn't it? Because we have movies, lots and lots of horror movies, and we have things like The Exorcist that are just classic, that everybody knows about, or Omen, or there's just many classic movies where there's this possession, and you have Rosemary's Baby. I could go on, right? But let's just think, possession. How does that feel to you? And you say, well, I am possessed. They're just words, right? But what it really means, possession, in my opinion, and in some of my peers, there's Matt Kahn and Teal Swan say the same thing, and that is, there is no possession. There is only the separation from parts of our own soul, that when those parts come back to us, we believe it's another entity. So if you say, well, I could never, ever be mean or evil or something, and then you make that something you could never be, well, when those energies come back, and in fact, you're everything, so we can all be all of it, when those energies come back, it seems like you've disassociated with those energies so much, they've literally broken off mentally. It's actually a break. And once they break off, you cannot see them as yourself. And it's a much longer road to owning them back, but you can still do it because you are a slice of the divine and you can do anything. Literally just yesterday, I was speaking to a girlfriend of mine, and she was telling me how just a few months back she was dealing with, she would see this dark figure on her bed. Now, this is a little different than feeling the figure is within you, but she felt like the figure wanted her, so it's very similar. She saw this dark figure and it really frightened her, and when she would turn on the lights fully, it would go away, but every time that she went to go to bed or she turned off the lights, the figure came back, the presence, and she could really see its outline. And what she eventually discovered, which is so beautiful with what I'm sharing here, and I didn't say anything to her about any of this, I was just being a listener. I was listening to her tell me this story, and she told me that she eventually figured out that this figure was literally her fear. This figure was her fear embodied, the fear that she had disowned. And so when she had compassion for that fear, it literally dissolved. When she stopped making it this enemy, this entity trying to get to her, but rather this part of her that needed to be loved, everything shifted. So I thanked her for that story because it's a great example for this, isn't it? So what is the gift of possession? It sounds so funny even to say what is the gift of possession, and I love that you are such a spiritual warrior that you're willing to stretch your mind to this capacity. I love that about you so much. So what is the gift of possession? The gift of possession is being able to surrender your personal will to divine will, to energy, to serve a higher power. right? To serve a higher power. Because when we're opening our crown and we're letting what will come through, we're serving that power, and there's a certain trust in that. Now, when you begin to own back the parts of yourself that you think are evil entities, and you stop making evilness outside of you, and you love all of you more, this will be really easy to see that you can surrender. Because think about it. As we surrender, if we surrender with too much conditionality, it's not really surrender, right? For instance, when you love someone and you want to surrender into a relationship, and you think, well, when I love this person, I know they're going to love me back. If I love this person, I don't know, and I don't feel that they actually might not. And then if you surrender here but not here, that's not truly surrender. Can you understand that? So there needs to be this big surrender, this big trust in divine energy. When you trust that light always lights the dark, when you trust that consciousness, even though it's everything, so even though it is dark, it's all light. There's nothing bad about that dark because it has so much light that it is always the all, right? And when you start to own that, you are able to surrender in new ways. You're not surrendering under conditions that I'll surrender if this person loves me, if this happens, right? It goes into your life and it causes deeper surrender in your life. And it allows you to begin to really listen to the divine and feel the divine moving through you. You can do more spiritual works, which is why we surrender our personal will. We usually aren't asked to do things, we are never asked to do things that are weird or wrong or anything, because when we're totally in alignment, only our purpose can come through. Only what we're here to do, only who we are. It's kind of like a tree just grows the way it grows. See, trees aren't like people, they don't question all the stuff that we question. So the bottom line is this helps you to surrender your personal will and therefore do the will of a higher power. That's the gift of this one. And finally, our fifth shadow quality, we're at the very last one, is renunciant. Now, renouncing, being a renunciant, renouncing can mean many different things. Again, in a spiritual sense, it usually means renouncing the physical world, the material world. And often the language is that this is just an illusion. Now, personally, for me, I don't split hairs on any of that, because we're here, we're playing this game. We're here as a soul to grow. So it doesn't help us to make everything illusion. What if everything is real? Everything is real. So there's not this is illusion and that is and blah, blah. Just everything is real if it's in your realm. Well, a renunciate says that I don't want physical things, or often we hear of, not so much now, but in the olden days you heard a lot about monks that would put their body through horrendous tests. I even recently just saw a movie, I'm forgetting the name right at this moment. It stars Ethan Hawke, and he does horrible things to himself, especially at the end. He really, really hurts himself, and this leads to a euphoric freedom of some sort. So even our media is still passing this on. And interestingly enough, if you do hurt yourself, you create a reaction of endorphins within your body that create a bliss state that mimics and can be tied to the bliss state of connecting to the divine. So there's something in that. But in a way, doing that can be an addiction. It can be just like doing it. There's hallucinogenic drugs that can get you there too, right? But I'm going way off here. I want to just stick with this shadow of renouncing. Feel the part of you that wants to renounce the physical world, or maybe renounce certain cultural mores, certain cultural ways. Any way that we renounce is renunciation. What is the gift of renunciation? Well, first of all, before I go into the gift, I just want to tell you one more thing, because some people don't know this. But I just realized that some of you may be watching this and you may be wondering, but renouncing, I think of that as a good quality in general. I mean, not counting monks or anybody who might really hurt themselves in order to, because they used to wear hair suits and sometimes sleep on bed of nails or do crazy things like that. in order to feel closer to the divine, okay? And you might say, well, in general, renouncing to me feels very spiritual, very positive. Why would that be negative? Well, I'll give you an example. Sometimes renouncing includes things that we honor in our culture, like leaving family. The Buddha left his, not just his wealth, but he left his wife and his small child, his son. So when we put it in those terms, someone renouncing family, which is again root is family. So as a culture, we want to feel safe. We want to feel that we wouldn't get left behind, that a man wouldn't leave his family. So it suddenly becomes negative to renounce on spiritual grounds when it's like that. And Buddha did that. So I wanted to bring that up as an example so you could see that it actually can be a negative shadow quality. Okay? But what is the gift of it? The gift of renunciation is that you are aware of, or I should say, the gift of it is you're aware of the boxes and you can go outside the box. You're able to go outside the box of, for instance, many people believe that this is a contest to see whoever dies with the most toys wins, right, in this physical realm. And when you're a renunciant, you can move out of that. You can move beyond that materialistic box. And so you can move beyond, Buddha moved beyond a cultural norm that says in order for him to be a good man, he has to stay with his family. You may agree with it or you may not. Just realize if you do or don't, because again, that's going to teach you about what's going on in your own shadow. The truth is he was true to himself and his own spiritual calling, and it obviously worked out for him. So renunciation's gift is that it allows you to live outside of the box. It allows you to live outside of the box, and that's a big one. And that makes sense for the crown, right? Because the crown is way outside of the box. So that's it, everyone. That's the 5th shadow quality of the crown. We have completed this whole series. Good for you. Beautiful work. Now, remember, there are 5 ways to integrate these shadow qualities. We did the first one because we looked at the gift, and you can look at the personal gifts in your life. They might be different than the gifts that I brought up, but I want you to go and look at the other videos, especially the earlier ones, to get a further breakdown on the integration, the shadow integration methods for these other healing ways, or other ways to heal yourself. And doing them all is going to rock your world. Change your world. I guarantee it. So watch the part of you that goes, oh, wants to turn this off and go, I'm thinking about it, but I'm not actually going and taking the actions, the healing integration actions. So please, now that we're in the crown, the most disembodied parts, can you still practice the bodily part, the actions around this? The first is to find the gift. The second one is to do tapping. I have a video where I work on throat chakra tapping to heal the throat chakra. So I'm going to give you a link for that so you can see how to do the tapping, and then you'll do it on these qualities. The third and the fourth are about finding examples of this in your life, times you've been this, or if you can't find times you've been this, find hypotheticals when you could be this way. If this happened, I could be that way. Okay? And also loving yourself, especially your inner child. If there was no one there, and I'm pretty sure if it's shadow, there was no one there to love that part of you when it first came up in your life, go back, dear one, and love yourself now. Love that child, love yourself. It's all good. You're everything. Own the everything that you are, love all of it. You're lovable in every single aspect of you. The darkest aspects included, because they're the ones that need to be loved the most. And then finally, the 5th shadow integration tool is to take back your projections. There's lots of ways to do that. I have techniques. If you want to do coaching with me, I have some really good techniques for doing shadow work. I would love that. You'll find my sessions in my store. And if you want a shortcut way to do it that I think is phenomenal, that's online, it is ByronKatiesTheWork.com. It's just thework.com. And you grab her Judge Your Neighbor worksheet and you fill that out and you take back the projections you're putting on your neighbor and you gain some shadow insight from that. Okay, I feel like I'm practically losing my voice. This has been a long series. I'm so proud of you. I just can't even tell you how proud. I'm so proud that I have deep love just all mixed into that pride. Love and pride, which are so beautiful together. Third and fourth chakra. I'm just feeling a whole lot for you right now, and I hope that you're really acknowledging your journey. And if somehow you got to this video late and you're just starting the journey on this shadow chakra series, shadow qualities of the chakra series, please go back and look at the original intro video and at least the root, and just start to make your way through the other chakras. I promise you it will open your eyes to a lot of things that you haven't seen before, and that will give you many more chances to love yourself even more deeply. And as you do that, that will open up your ability to love everyone else even more widely and more deeply and more completely. And most importantly, that's a lot of leaves, unconditionally. We have to have a really clear shadow to love people truly unconditionally, to listen to them, accept them, be there for them unconditionally. And I know that you want to do that because you're in my tribe. I feel your energy. I know that, and I love that about you. I love your warrior self. I love all of it, all of you. So I will see you on the next video. I think it's going to be a little bit lighter. We'll see. Much love and many blessings.